Hi, and welcome to Untethered with Jenless, the podcast that's here to help you break free, be you, and unleash your inner brilliance. I'm your host, Jen, and in this episode, we're going to talk about how to amuse yourself more than you abuse yourself. Let's dive in. Hey there, friends. It's Jen. How are you? I've had a really fun couple of weeks. I'm not going to lie. I played a little bit of hooky last weekend from some of my responsibilities. And then over the last week, I did a little bit the same. You know how sometimes it's like, you have all of these things that you desire and want to accomplish. And yet every cell, every fiber of your being wants you to just sit on the couch and chill with some popcorn and watch 30 hours of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel? Not just me? No, not you? That is exactly what I did last week. And the weekend before, I'd had quite a few things I wanted to accomplish. And my husband was like, do you want to go do something fun this weekend? I was like, as a matter of fact, I do. And so I started looking up things to do in Oregon. We were looking at maybe staying in some hot springs, maybe going and hiking somewhere. We're looking at all of the things we could possibly do in and around the area where we live in Portland, which there's so much at any given time, especially in the warmer months. There's just no shortage of things to go do. It's berry picking season. So I was like, okay, I want to go berry picking. But then we found this place close to the coast in Tillamook. If you've ever had Tillamook cheese, if you live here in the US, that's pretty popular cheese that is made just an hour and a half away from where we live in Portland. And outside Tillamook, there is a place with covered wagons. You can sleep in a covered wagon. And as soon as I saw that, it was $45, by the way, for a night. And we could stay in a covered wagon. And I was like, absolutely, this is what we are doing. And so we both agreed. We're like, okay, it's not a glamping adventure. It's like somewhere between camping and glamping, but there's no outlets in them. They are legitimately a covered wagon on wheels, definitely wiggly and movie. But it was like the most fun experience. My husband and I think just sometimes you move yourself out of your usual space and you go and you get in a covered wagon, whether metaphorically or literally, and it just completely shifts your energy. And the episode that we had on Tuesday with Kristy Mandour, one of the things that I loved that she said was to amuse yourself rather than abuse yourself. So in this Thursday thread, it's a Thursday thread. In this Thursday thread episode, that's what we are talking about, is how to really do this for yourself and how to notice when you might be abusing yourself. Because we do this sometimes when there's something that we're coming up against. Like I've just been having kind of this hard mental block. I've been coming up against this creative mental block. And we all have these, no matter what your job is, we will come up against hard things sometimes where it's like, for whatever reason, I'm procrastinating on this. I feel like I can't make progress on it. I sit there and just stare at the blank screen, or I've written it 60 times and it's not coming out right. Or, I'm playing on my phone instead of doing the thing that I want to do. And a lot of times what we will shift into is kind of that space of self-abuse, where we'll say, oh my gosh, I'm procrastinating, like all of the things that I just listed, those kinds of feelings, worrying because the clock is ticking, and we catch ourselves kind of in this cycle of, it's almost like we're berating ourselves, being mean to ourselves in a lot of ways. We'll have these thoughts, and sometimes they're conscious and sometimes it's happening subconsciously. And what I loved about what Kristy said was, in those moments, just amuse yourself. And the way that she suggests that you do this is to create a cast of characters. But from my example with our little Oregon Trail experience that we had, it was a simple, you know what, I'm coming up against some hard stuff. I'm just going to choose to go have some fun. And then I came back and I was feeling like I could make some progress on it. And I was like, all I really want to do is just sit and watch some really good, well-written, creative, hilarious TV, which The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is all of those things. If you have not watched it, I will say the title did not turn me on, but the writing, everything about this show, it's like Ted Lasso level good. Highly recommend it. Can't recommend it enough, especially to any woman. It's all like female empowerment and funny and so good. Anyway, I'll stop ranting about The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. It can be so good to lean into something that just brings you joy and just amuses you for a little bit. And the shift in your energy that can happen when you allow yourself to do that and to do it without the self-abuse, releasing the judgment on yourself or catching yourself, judging yourself and saying, oh, why am I thinking these thoughts? You can even invite a partner in to help you do it, whether it is somebody you're in a relationship with or a relative or a friend who can help to remind you or to even ask the question, are you guilting yourself right now? Or are you worrying about something right now? And just invite you to release that so that you can just enjoy the thing that you were choosing to do. Because sometimes we will procrastinate and we'll make ourselves feel bad the entire time that we're doing it. And that's not productive, right? That's not productive at all. But the way I think Kristy has such a fun way of approaching this by inviting you to create personas for the various sides of yourself, those pieces and parts of yourself that kind of want to show up and procrastinate or kind of show up in this fiery, kind of punchy energy. She had a story about how her daughter thought that she resembled Maleficent and how that had hurt her feelings at first, but now she has begun to make it playful and fun. Now, one thing that I've shared in this podcast before, and I had read this in a psychology book that I was reading, was to name your mind, to name your brain. And so I have named my brain Natalie, and it really does help me to create some separation. Because when I am feeling some of those thoughts, when I catch myself kind of abusive self-thoughts, I'm like, Natalie, look at you. Here you come with all of your little tricks. And she and I have a conversation, and it helps you to realize that you are not your mind. You actually are not. You're the essence, the being, the spirit, the whatever. None of us really know exactly what's happening. Some people think they do. I personally don't think that we have any idea. Truly. Science is also new, and, spirituality, it's like all of these things. That's my personal belief. I'm like, I don't think we know, but there's something, right? And so you are the essence. You are the witness. You are the watcher of the mind, of the brain that is having all of these thoughts. This is what breathwork really, really has deeply helped me to do. And what it helps my clients to do is to create that separation between all of those wild thoughts that your brain is having and the actual essence of who you are and the physical experience that you are having in your body as a result of the thoughts. So there's just all of these chemical reactions and things that are happening in your body that giving yourself the space from meditation or breath work or whatever practice you enjoy can really help you if you struggle with this concept. If you're like, what is she talking about? What is she talking about? I am my mind. I am my brain. When you do some of these practices, it helps you to create that space. And one of the things that it can really help you to create that space is this simple act of naming your personalities, naming these little people inside of yourself, naming these voices inside of yourself. I did a program a couple of years ago, and he personified a variety of voices in your head, and one of them was called the judge. And I personally identified most strongly with the judge. I have long considered myself a judgy person. In fact, having judgment as my top skill on the Strengths Finder test, you may have heard me say this before, that it was one of the things that deeply led me down a self-development journey, because I was like, what is up with this? That I deeply identify with that judgy side of myself. But what if the judge was Judge Judy? What if we could actually personify these pieces of ourselves, like take it a step even further into amusement? What can you craft for one of your personalities? Do you have that one that tends to just kind of like fumble and do things at the last minute? And could that be like Mr. Bean or something, like somebody who's just kind of always fumbling around? Do you have this fiery side of yourself? And could that be like Hulk Hogan or something? And do you have this ego that likes to really, flaunt around? Could that be Posh Spice? What are the parts of yourselves that are most prevalent that kind of feel like they get in your way sometimes? And so sometimes you want to kind of strap them down, or you want to tell them to quiet down. You want to get rid of them. You kind of want to carve that piece of yourself out. What if instead you gave it a name? You gave it a personality. I love personally the idea of giving it celebrity personalities, like Kristy's example with Maleficent, because we already know those characters. They already kind of have something. So what is something that you personally feel connected with? What are some celebrities or some characters from a book, from a movie? So maybe take a moment right now to think about, what is that thing that really gets in my way? What is that thing about myself? Maybe it's worrying. Maybe it is people pleasing. Maybe it is that perfectionist side of yourself, or that overworker, or the person who tends to get angry and lashes out. What is that personality within yourself? Now think of a character or a celebrity or somebody else in your life, or just a name that comes to mind that seems to kind of encompass that side. See if something comes to mind. And if not, jot this little exercise down so that you can think about it. Could you you have this adventurous side of yourself that tends to kind of get herself in trouble. Maybe you name her Ariel. What is that side of yourself? Identifying it, giving it a name, and then speaking with it when they tend to come up, when they arise, and just offering them a hand, just a loving hand, a loving word, just to say, oh, you, there you are. And to let them know that you're okay, that it's safe, that you see them, that their presence is valid, and you're going to choose to do something different. Maybe you choose to do something that amuses them. Maybe you choose to do something that amuses some other personality within you. So have fun with this exercise. I hope that it's helpful to you, and we will drop into a moment of breath to close out this Thursday Thread episode. For our breathwork today, I'm going to invite that little piece and part of you that sometimes you might want to reject, that sometimes maybe you mentally might abuse that piece or part, or maybe it abuses you. You have some kind of little straining relationship with this part of your personality or yourself. Let's just invite it to the table and just send it a little bit of love. Just a nice, simple breath exercise today to do that. So if you want to get comfortable in your chair, wherever you are, if you're driving, please come back and do this exercise later. Now, taking a deep cleansing breath, drawing breath into your nose and out through the mouth. Another deep into the nose, out through the mouth. And on this next inhale, drawing that breath in deep into the belly. And on your exhale, allowing yourself to sink just a little bit deeper into your chair, closing down your eyes if you haven't yet, and beginning a more gentle inhale into the nose, and out through the mouth. Just finding a gentle, steady rhythm of that breath that feels good to you today. There you go. As you settle into this breath, inviting yourself to welcome this piece of you that is sometimes a little bit difficult. What is that part of you that maybe sometimes it feels like it rejects you, or you reject it, or it gets you into difficult situations? Just inviting it to the table as you continue to breathe into the nose and out through the mouth, allowing yourself to feel what's here. As that side of your personality comes up, do you notice any tension, maybe in your chest or throat? Any tightness anywhere else in your body? Without judgment and simply with curiosity, noticing those sensations in your body. There you go. Just welcoming them to be here with you, these parts of you that exist inside of yourself, and just saying hello. Without judgment, just saying hello. There you go. And as you say hello to those parts of yourself, noticing if they react at all. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. It's continuing to breathe deep into the belly and out. Maybe offering just a little bit of love, if you can, to those parts of yourself, to that side of your personality. Just opening up your heart, saying hello, maybe blowing it a little kiss, seeing what that feels like. There you go. Thanking that part of yourself for existing and for making itself present today. If it's not making itself present, that's okay too, just being curious. Taking a couple more deep cleansing breaths into that nose and out through the mouth. Last one. And on that exhale, feeling down into that chair beneath you. Maybe feeling your toes and your fingertips giving themselves a wiggle. And thanking yourself for allowing yourself to experiment with this today. Allowing yourself this moment to check in with yourself and this piece of yourself. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did and took a little something away from yourself and you know a friend would too, I encourage you to share this episode with a friend. Another thing that you can do to share this podcast is to take a little screenshot of the episode that you're listening to right now, share it on social media, and tag me on Instagram. I'm Untethered Jen. I will always reshare your posts if you tag me. Thank you again so much for listening. I know you are a busy person and could be doing so many things. Thank you for offering yourself this moment of breath and this episode to check in with yourself and think about something a little bit new. You just keep shining your magical unicorn light out there for all to see. I'll see you next time.